Gates Adams here on behalf of Apex Trader Funding, and I'm here today with a unique interview format today. I've got Lea on the line and I have Lochlan, both overseas. I understand both of you are talking to me in the middle of the night, so thank you for sharing some of your, wee hours with me. So first and foremost, Lea, of course, I want to congratulate you. You are kind of the crux of why we have this interview in the first place. You are a paid funded trader with Apex Trader Funding, as I know, Lochlan, you are as well, if I'm not mistaken, right? Now, Lea, was this the first payout that prompted this, or have you already had several payouts?
This is my first payout.
I could see it in your eyes as soon as I asked. That's fantastic. Well, congratulations. I love seeing that excitement. So congratulations, first payout with Apex Trader Funding. Let's talk a little bit about the journey as far as getting here. I know when people see these, they always want to know, how long did it take you to get there? How long is this, what does the trading journey look like for you at this point?
I started trading in 2006, so nearly 20 years ago. However, it was just trading shares, keeping them for an hour, 5 minutes, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or whatever. And it was only Australian shares. I didn't know anything about futures. I went to a seminar in 2007, and Lochlan is one of the keynote speakers, and he started talking about something I'd never heard of, trading futures, and then put that on the shelf for the next 10 years because work and family got in the way, and all the time I was very intrigued about this idea of trading. So that was my journey, and then I started to learn a bit more and got to know a trading family, got to know there's such things as a live trading room. And then when you hear the game changer of Apex, where there's this amazing company that would like to assist you by funding you for your trading. It sounds like a dream come true, doesn't it, Gates?
It does, and I always have to ask this question when this comes up this way. What was your initial thought? Were you skeptical, or did you just immediately say, oh, this is it, this is for me?
Because we're part of a trading community and we know quite a few traders. It was very reputable, so I looked into it. And I said, look, if I decide to go ahead, will you just help me set up a little bit if I need, help? So he said, yes. But as I looked into it, and of course, you look into the reviews, you go, well, is this a reputable company? It sounded like it'd been around for a long time. I watched an interview with Daryl, very impressed with his integrity and where he was coming from. So I thought, let's just try it.
Look, everybody's journey is their own. It's very personal, and people certainly, there's a million different ways to go about it. So I'm going to come to you, Lochlan. I'm not going to say the man responsible for this first payout, because we all know Lea had to do all of the work. But clearly, you guys started working together, and so you operate as an instructor, as a trainer. How do you consider your role in all of this?
Great question. So instructor, absolutely. I run the live trading room that Lea was talking about. So we run these online sessions every day where people can actually get their questions answered. We draw lines on the chart. We do all of this kind of strategy development to say, this is a really good trade for the following reasons. Do this, do that. So I think the point you've raised is a great point, Gates, is that at the end of the day, we can be the best educator in the world. Lea is the one that's actually got to push the button and take responsibility for the goods and the bads. And as a result, I'm very excited that Lea's got a first payout, because if we can get a first payout, it means we can get a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth. And again, to complement what you are doing, you've literally completely changed the game when it comes to normal mums and dads becoming professional futures traders. So as an educator, the role that you're doing is absolutely incredible. So a big thank you to Apex, but also to Lea for sticking with it, because not every day is a good day in the game of trading, as we all know.
Look, I've been a small business owner. I've raised 2 kids. I've gone through legal battles within that realm. Truly, in everything that I've ever done, nothing has been harder than the journey of trading. But also, I can't say nothing has been more rewarding. Of course, my children, my family is the most rewarding thing here that I've experienced. But from a professional standpoint, there really is something about passing these milestones, because it's not easy. Passing that first evaluation, getting that first evaluation to payout status. It's not a 3-month or 6-month journey, at least not for most people. There's the exception to the rule. What would you say has been the biggest struggle for you that you managed to overcome to get to this point?
Some people call it over trading. It's all that sort of stuff. But when you take a loss and then you take another loss and then you take another loss, it's like the brain disengages. I used to call it deer in headlights. Your brain literally, it switches off. And if you don't have some mechanisms in place, there's some very interesting and sad stories about people who have gone on tilt and regularly go on tilt. That's probably the biggest thing I've maybe challenged with. Another thing is occasionally I don't trade in the live trading room, and I just appreciate the community that the live trading room provides. Because say last night, for all sorts of reasons, I didn't trade in the live trading room. The market dropped about, quarter past the Euro Open. And I thought, if I was actually in the live trading room, Lockie would be talking about this. I just went, what's happening? What's happening? Should I, and I'd already checked the news, Forex news. And I thought, well, there's no news announcement. And then last night, got on with my trader community. And I said, what happened? And one of the other guys said, well, I don't know. He said, I got paid. I got my 8 ticks and he said, 8 ticks and 1 tick for 20 contracts, and I was like, okay. But Lochlan would have talked about it.
I want to make one comment as you were talking about going on tilt or over trading or revenge trading, or yes, there's a variety of different phrases that go along with that. And I know, look, I don't know a trader that hasn't experienced this. I know I've been in moments literally where I'm hitting the button. Before I hit the button in my head, or sometimes even out loud, I'm saying, I shouldn't do this. It's not that you don't know. Sometimes it's just that you cannot help yourself. So we'll speak a little bit more on the value of community, because I think this is really an important topic, and I think one that this is a perfect interview for. But Lee, how have you gotten to the point where you've managed to control those reactions when you have a bad streak?
And thanks have to go back to Lockie from Samurai Trading as well, because one of the things that Lockie talks about in his training and tutoring with all of us is know your why. And if you know your why, one of the guys in our community, I said to him the same thing, how did you overcome over trading and tilting and all that, He said, my why. And I reverse engineered it, like Lochlan has taught us all, to work out what your why is. Put a figure on the why. And we all come back to 20 ticks a day, 4 days a week on a set market, one time frame, one goal, one strategy.
Yeah, I think simplification is a massive, massive piece of the puzzle. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the community, because I have to say, personally speaking, and I know from many traders that I've had the privilege of interviewing over the last couple of years, that community is so critically important. And I'll share a story here just for context that I've heard a million times, and my pastor shared this, and this is usually shared in the frame of religion or church or whatever the case may be. Is there's a gentleman, and he strong in his faith, but he just decides that he doesn't want to take that time away from his Sundays anymore. And so he stops going, and I won't make this ramble on. Pastor comes over one day and he says, well, what's going on? He says, well, look, my time is very valuable, and I appreciate you coming by, but I just don't want to have a conversation about this, but you're welcome to come in and sit with me. So they sit in front of the fire. And so the pastor takes one of the coals from the fire. He takes the tongs and he takes one of the coals from the fire and he sets it aside. And this red, orange, glowing coal starts to fade and starts to cool. And then he picks it back up and he takes it and he puts it back in the flame. And sure enough, grows bright orange once again and regains that flame. But I do think that this is applicable in a lot of areas of life. And I think trading is probably one of the more valuable areas. That community is so important and so motivating. It really helps just enjoy and celebrate the good days. It really helps get past the bad days. And it really helps hold that accountability to not making those decisions when you're sitting there holding the trigger on the mouse going, I know I shouldn't do this. Okay, I'm not gonna, and pull the hand away, right? So Lochlan, obviously you've created something that has benefited quite a few traders. You said you've got what, about 50 or so funded traders with Apex within the community?
Yeah, 50 funded. We're sitting at the moment about 132 traders sort of cycle through the live trading room every day. The feedback we get is that people trade far better when they've got a community around them where they can actually compare notes and say, are you taking this trade? Yes or no? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? So it's again, understanding that the whole design of the futures market is that we are trading to a centralized exchange. Everyone sees the same thing at the same time. Therefore, there's a very, very powerful group think mentality out there in the markets. In wider markets, for example, reverse off pivots and turn around and go back the other way. Well, it's because everyone knows the pivots are there. So we tend to find that people trade far better in a community where they can confirm they're getting on the right side of the market. And even more important, when they're in that trade, they're actually egged on to stay in the trade until it hits its long range targets. I think everybody in the game of trading has got into a trade and then got out after 2 minutes thinking, oh, thank gosh, I've made $50. And then 10 minutes later, it's at the $500 mark. You're thinking, why the hell did I not hold that trade? Whereas when you've got a whole lot of people saying, hold the trade, hold. I mean, when yesterday, when the market plummeted, I said, guys, we're not going to join the sell. Someone was moving a rocket around. So I said, listen, don't join the sell. We're going to wait for the stall. We're going to join the buyers. Everybody joined the buyers. And it was literally just target the whole way back up. And the beauty of that is, as I said to everyone, don't join the sell. Wait for the stall. This is all news inspired. We're just going to chill until we get a really, really great trade. And everyone got the great trade. Everyone through the target. Big celebration. But the worst thing about that, Gates, is within about 35 minutes of starting the LTR, everyone was leaving. It's like, no, hang on. But they're also trained that once you've hit your daily goal, leave. Yeah. Because fear and greed could romance you into taking another trade. I don't know many traders watching this hit their daily goal, been very happy, and then 15 minutes later, they somehow find themselves in another trade. How does that happen? The group think mentality, the team, and I love the use of the word family. We have a global family now in 12 countries, and we all log in every day. We do the same thing at the same time, same strategy. It's very boring, but Gates, at the same time, it keeps people accountable and keeps them level-headed. And again, back to Lee, her first Apex funder withdrawal is very exciting. Now I've just got to make sure we get a second one and a third one and a fourth one. And back to Daryl and his ethos behind the company. Absolutely incredible.
That's beautiful. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I feel fairly confident in asking this because it does not sound like you are the other side of the question as I'm going to phrase this. One of the tendencies with a lot of trade rooms is basically for them to turn into signal rooms where it's like, okay, I'm taking a trade, so everybody take a trade with me and just follow along, which is very disempowering versus the empowerment that comes from. So how do you manage that line when you're working with a large group of traders like this? Because the interactivity can't be one-on-one with 130 or so traders, but you don't want it to turn into basically a disempowering, follow the leader sort of thing. How do you manage that?
Great question. So we've got 12 signals that we trade. So we've got around about 4 to 5 signals that are for really, really junior traders, and then a couple that are slightly more intermediate. Then we've got our advanced traders. We've got a couple of traders, for example, in the live trading room trading 80 contracts at the moment. So that they, and 80 is, you can appreciate that's getting up there, there's no doubt.
Sure.
So what we do is, again, we trade a 5-minute chart, one of the most powerful charts in the world. About 60 to 90 seconds before the candle closes, we actually say to everybody, because as per the strategy, as per the education, if this candle does this, we're going to do that. If the market does this, we're going to do that. The reason we follow that process is because if people know what trade they're getting into, they've also got an expectation as to how long the trade is going to take. Also, where their stop loss needs to be, where their target needs to be, and ultimately the duration of that trade. Is it a 7-minute trade? Is it a 10-minute, 15, 20-minute trade? When people know what they're about to get into and they know what the trade is likely to do, it's not just a matter of sell the market at this point, I'll explain later.
Right.
You spend about 90 seconds saying, if the market does this, we're doing X, Y, Z. And people learn to trust the process very quickly. By trusting the process, they start to trust the signal, they trust the market, they trust their ability to take advantage of the signal. And then, as we go back to what we said earlier, it's then a competition of how long can we keep them in that trade to try and maximize their profit, cut their risk early and let it run. So I think it's not about saying buy now, sell now. It's about saying if the following occurs in the market, the normal response is X, Y, Z. So this is how we're going to capitalize on it. And it's a great point, point, Gates. At the end of the day, everybody makes the decision to take the trade because we don't provide any kind of personal financial advice. We're not allowed to. So therefore we say, look, in the typical market condition, X, Y, Z occurs. When the market does this, let's rock and roll. Hence the big plummet in the market last night. We said, don't join the plummet. It's not going to work. We've got a whole lot of indicators that tell us not to sell. Just wait for the buy signal to set up. And as soon as that buy signal sets up, so righto, guys and girls, your entry point's here, your risk is here, your time duration is 7 to 12 minutes. Let's try and maximize the profit on this trade. And it's really exciting to see, 50, 60, 70 people go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's great. It's great.
That's
They
beautiful.
do. And also too, Lockie tends to, right from the start of we have about a 15-minute lead in, and Lockie will go through the larger charts and say, this is what the 240 minutes doing, this is what the daily is doing, this is the weekly doing, down to the 15 minutes, we down. And he does that on the 3 markets that he trades. Now, Lockie will not tell you, but he's a brilliant mathematician, and he can do these 3 markets. Now, I tried to moderate one market one time. After 10 minutes, I just went, I can't do this. Lochlan will say, if you take the opening candle, it's now gone climactic, get ready to enter. But if you don't, if that's not in your trading plan, don't take it. Don't let me romance you. But also too, you're talking about FDAX, you're talking about ES, you're talking about NQ. If someone was trying to just do everything that Lochlan says, you'd have to have three markets up. And I once said to Lochlan, you're suggesting one market only. How do you just stick to one market? And I don't know if you remember telling me this story. He said, well, if you're a specialist, Lee, in an emergency room, and as a heart specialist, a lung specialist, and a surgeon, you could finish the story.
Absolutely. Well, my dad's an ENT surgeon, very, very highly decorated surgeon, and he said to me many, many moons ago, he said, the reason I'm so good is I do one thing only. And as I said to Lee many times, if you're a neurosurgeon, you don't decide one day you're just going to pull someone's heart out or vice versa. I mean, I've got NASDAQ specialists, FDAX specialists. The long story short is you could be romanced into trying trading 2 or 3 things at the same time. But if you can understand the power of 3 to 5 months of just focusing on one thing becomes 3 to 5 years of just focusing on one thing, but on 50 contracts. Mm-hmm. And that compounding, becoming a specialist. I'm an FDAX specialist. That's all I physically execute when I'm running the live trading room. But I show everybody, enter here, do this, do that, do that. But back from my money comes from the FDAX simply because I like the way it moves. I like the personality of the FDAX. So Lee's very, very good on the NASDAQ. She loves the personality of the NASDAQ. There's other people that love the S&P 500. It's a great point you raise, Lee. We all want to be specialists, but again, as Gates had said earlier, we want to specialize, but we also want to simplify our trading down to what works, ignore what doesn't work. And if we can do that in an online family, not only do we share the victories with the family, but we also share the commiserations.
Well, Lochlan, I had a couple quick questions to wrap up with you, and then I'll wrap up with Lee. So first and foremost, is she the only one who refers to you as Lockie, or is that just a fair nickname for anybody?
No, so that's a great point. Everyone calls me Lockie, unless I'm in trouble, then it becomes Lochlan. So absolutely. So.
and we don't necessarily try to turn these things into any sort of a commercial, but obviously you have a following and people can find you. Where's the best place for someone to find you online if they want to look a little bit more into what you're doing?
Yeah, literally just samuraidaytrading.com. We've got a lot of shorts on YouTube. So wherever you go, Samurai Day Trading, you'll find us there. Lots of books to download. And please reach out because we're having a lot of fun.
Awesome. And Lee, at this point, you've reached that big milestone, that first payout. There's just nothing quite like that feeling. I know you're on top of the world right now. But as you start to look at what's next, what is it that you want to do from here moving forward that is that next step for you?
I like to make a difference in the world. That payout hit my account and I had immediately earmarked it as a donation. So it came and went and it's gone. And so obviously the next one, I've got sponsor kids in Philippines, Africa. I support a little struggling church. That's where the money went to. The why is doing more of the same. I've got an account that passed It's ready for a payout, but it's got its 30%. So I've got to get another $200 in that one, and then it'll be ready for another claim, and I've got to do 2 more days. And hopefully, if not in November, it'll be in December. I'm just hoping for a very long and profitable partnership with both Apex and Samurai Day Trading. I mean, to me, it's a trio. Learning to trade. I didn't know trading at all. I knew nothing about reading candlesticks. I knew nothing. I didn't even know what the word Fibonacci was. Lochlan has taught me from go to woe. Introduced me to Mark Douglas, Mel Robbins' 5-4-3-2-1 principle, put me in as part of a community, helped me work out the reason why do I trade, and what is it you say about chasing rabbits, Lochlan?
Yeah, chase one rabbit, because if you chase 2, you won't catch either.
Well, this has been a very fun and unique experience getting to share with student and teacher. I love sort of changing up the dynamic. I love doing these interviews. So this has definitely been a little longer than most of the interviews. I hope that everybody who gets a chance to watch this has truly enjoyed this and seen the value in having the dynamic like this. But for both of you, for Lea, Lochlan, Lockie, because you're not in trouble, it's been truly a pleasure. Thank you guys for sharing your time with me today. Again, I know it's the middle of the wee hours for you guys, so I will let you guys go and get some rest, but I look forward to hearing updates from both of you and seeing how things continue to grow and develop from here. So thanks so much for your time tonight.
Great. Thanks, guys.